for the product, which is called as Site 24/7. She almost has more than 2 decades of experience with this around this company, Zoho Corporation company, and she extensively have experience ranging from database scaling, network, and doing the application tracking, and even end user experience management as well. So, as Siddharth told, product management doesn't have rule. It like the shapes as you see in the logo. It's about the mindset, how this product management evolved altogether. When Raji, or before a decade or before a couple of decades, this product management or product manager, such kind of roles were not exist. But now it is. It has been it is traveling towards in a matured level, right? As you all know. So we are very happy to have you here, Rajesh, and she's going to give us a very challenging topic. We thought it is a little bit advanced topic, but still we decided to go with this. So why it is advanced is product management is something that goes to the basic concepts, but now today Rajesh, what is she's going to cover is about balancing the customer feedback and balancing the roadmap which we have in our own company as well, right? So this is not an easy task for a product manager, and this particular knowledge is essential for anyone who is working in product, not just for product manager. Any working in product, either it could be a QA, or it could be a tech lead, or it could be an engineer. This topic or this information which Raji is going to provide is a valuable thing. So I leave the stage to Raji. Thanks a lot, Raji. Yeah.
Thank you, Dinesh, for having me in this meeting. So it's great to be part of the meeting, and I'm starting this new year. My first event is this event. So in that sense, I think this mode of hybrid, some of them, even though we have physical meetings, both virtual and physical, is going to continue for some time. And as Siddharth was talking when I joined, it's in a way, it's easy for people to, people at their own ease, from the comfort of their home, they can join and listen to speakers. And the other thing is they can join from across the globe also. If we have it physical, it is going to be, we had someone joining from Singapore, so we can have people joining from other regions and attend sessions. So those are the positives of having it as a virtual mode. But as a presenter, I always would want to do it physical. So meeting people in person, talking to them, and seeing if, okay, what I'm saying makes sense to them. That's what a presenter needs. But that's okay. We have been used to this mode for quite some time. And as he was mentioning, I do have 23-year experience at Zoho. So Zoho has been my only company, I joined Zoho and I've been with Zoho for this long. So this session is going to be more of like, it's my personal experience sharing. This Zoho is a product company. I'm sure most of you know Zoho as a company and Zoho as a product company. So this will be more like what worked for us and what we do. I don't know if we do it differently, but what we do and how we are able to do this in this industry, and about some tips for how we balance. As a product manager myself, I started as a developer. As Dinesh was saying, product management, product manager, these did not exist. We cannot say this did not exist. Maybe this has picked up momentum in the recent days. So we have been doing this for years together, but this has picked up, and I like the concept you explained for your logo. And so it's not just for product managers. Anybody has to know about the product space. There is a product space. That's the name that you have. That's apt name that I would call it as. It's different from doing any project for one particular client. So in that sense, Zoho has been a product company since inception. So we have been into this developing products that could cater to multiple people. And based on the learnings that I have had from the mistakes that we have done, I'll be sharing few points here. I'll just go ahead and share my screen. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. So what is visible for me is only this presentation. So I don't know if something is happening in the back end in the Google Meet, some comments that are going to come up. So please interrupt me if I'm not audible, if you're not able to hear me, see me, or see my presentation. Otherwise, I would take this for 30 minutes or less, and then we will have it interactive session. Because a lot of time in the middle, if I get into the interaction, I would miss some important points that I wanted to convey. So generally what I do is I do my presentation, whatever I have prepared for 30 minutes, and then we'll have the what is that, whatever question that comes to you during the session, please feel free to post them in the comment or in the comment section, and we will have all that being, I will answer all of them towards the end of the session, and we can have it as an interactive session after the presentation. So I think that's how I generally do. And Dinesh, I think that is okay now as well.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So this is a challenging topic. I know I've talked about this topic earlier in a different forum also. But then before actually getting into the topic of how you will balance what a customer is asking with how you define your product roadmap, I want to set the groundwork of how does a product company work, or how a product company, what are the things that that defines an organization, particularly a product organization, and then get into, because those forms the ground rules for how you can go ahead with a balance. So in that sense, if you take any product company or any company or any organization, there are three things that revolve around them, and they are the product itself, and the people who work in the organization, and the processes that you're following. Actually, I have another. I usually talk about 4 P's, and I include philosophy as another P, and explain about what we do and how our organizations can help in that, and what made us to where we are today. But for this topic, I thought these three, if I'm covering these three, that should do. So I'll give a ground rule of, or set the foundation of what people have to focus on in any. See, all of us, most of us could be developers or working in some organizations, looking for moving up our ladder, or taking maybe startups, coming up with ideas how to take my product to the global market. So you could be playing any role, but in a software organization, where whatever role you're playing, these, for the organization, these three components play a major role, and I'll be covering few things on each of this. So I will not get into, I mean, he was talking about my product or the product that I am part of now, or Zoho as such, into any of these, but I'll try to keep it generic so that you can apply it in your products or in your organization also. And I will bring in few examples from Zoho which has worked for us. So, and that's just for example's sake. Okay. So when I want to get into these three, so what is product? First thing is about products. What is that I have to say about products? So, and before even I get there, I want to set another ground rule set for the presentation. Maybe some of the examples that I'm using, or some of the quotes that I've been talking here, these are nothing new. I did not invent any of these things. These are some things which I have heard, or I've heard from my mentors, and I've heard from my managers and my gurus, and during some references I've got them. So if you have listened all these from somebody else, or from me itself in some other presentation, pardon me. If it is a physical meeting, I can at least get the feedback, change some of my examples. But then certain things, even if it is a repeat, when you hear those things, different ideas pop up. That's how it has worked for me. So I think that works for others as well. So when I talk about products, the first thing that comes to my mind is, okay, this is a virtual meeting. You need not tell me, but think and see, is there anything that is common among these words that I have put here? If you start answering, it's going to be chaotic, but just think. Okay, there are few words that are written here like human hair, peacock tail, shark teeth, cedar, amber, tungsten, bamboo, ostrich, feather. These looks like random words, random substances. Is there anything unique about it, or what is common in these things? Are you able to think through now? Yes. So if you have thought this is the unique or this is something that is different, then you're right. So tungsten, these are all the different elements, not just these. There are 200 other different elements which Edison tried and failed before he succeeded with tungsten as a filament. So why I'm bringing this here is failures will be there when you start with a product. So if you are willing to fail, interestingly, you tend to succeed. So it's not that today people see Zoho as a company that has 50 products or 100 products, all successful ones. You ask people like me who have been with the company for 23 years, not just me, any other person you meet, they'll be able to tell you, or I'll be able to tell you how many failures we have had. I've been part of various products which we have worked for, 6 months or 1 year, and we have not released because at the end of it, we saw that there was no market. The market was not there, or the market changed by the time we finished the product. So it's not going to fetch what we wanted, the results. So we did not release it. So you should be able to accept those failures. Product development, there will be failures. So that's the first thing that you have to keep in mind. And that does not mean that you don't keep trying. It's okay to fail. And that's the first lesson that I wanted to talk about with product development. And when you have that, I'll just give few examples of product developments that generally happens. And a lot of time startups I meet, or I go talk with many startup people, and we have a lot of sessions on group mentoring, one-on-one mentoring. I do a lot of stuff. So the similar question that keeps coming up is, I want to become an entrepreneur. But I don't know what I want to do. How do I come up with something unique? How do I come up with an idea? So you want to sit in a room and I say, okay, I want to come up with an idea now. You will never be able to do that. It will happen on the floor. Just find out what you want to work on and then start working on that. And keep researching on that and give it some time. Things don't happen overnight. So these are some examples that with respect to product, that's how you will build products in an organization. So this is an example where this is our own product, one of our own product during its initial stages. We didn't even thought that we will be coming up with a product like this, but we wanted to do something simple. We know people are accessing our websites, our customers are accessing websites. We want to track it in the sense, who are the people who are accessing, and then that's generally what we do. Somebody who's coming and searching for something for their needs, you find out what they are searching for, and then try to establish a connect with them and see if you can convert that lead into a customer. That's the customer relationship side of it. But how do you do that? Then we figured out, we came up with our own. When we had such a problem, we used certain tools, and then we thought, okay, let's find out how we can do it ourselves, or what are the things that are missing in the existing tools, and take and do things for our own needs. And that's how we came up with, if somebody is spending time or on a particular website, they have been there for the more the time they spend, they come closer, and then you will be able to find out these are the people whom they have to be contacting. And this became a product idea, and then that became one of our products. So it is not that you will be able to come up with something initially, but as you work on, you will be able to find out the pieces that can become an entire product on its own. That's one example. The another such one was most of our organization today have the chat communications. Maybe you use different platforms. Today we are using Google Meet for this discussion. There could be a platform where, there are different platforms that you use for communication. But then when we were using one such one, today also when Siddharth was asking us to introduce, maybe everybody is not, they are not a outspoken person to come on video and introduce. That's perfectly fine. But if you have an option to do or to ask, such is the thing for asking questions. In a meeting, you say ask question, everybody may not ask. But I'm talking about even in physical meetings. But when you have an option to ask something anonymously, people will be able to ask. There is always a plus and minus for it. When you make it anonymous feedback suggestion box without their names mentioned on it, there will be some negative comments, there will be some bad things that come in. We should have thick skins to ignore that. But if you do that, you will be able to see how beautiful ideas come out of it. That is the anonymous attendees and anonymous comments that we needed, because in our meetings when we asked, people were not open enough to ask questions. So what we thought is, let's introduce, now people are connected we have an app called as Showtime, where people can connect, that is now transformed into Trainer Central. But earlier we used to have this where people can just connect and ask question anonymously, upvote a question. So these are some ways where we got a lot of product ideas and then materialized and then converted into product. So that's something, see, why I'm bringing this here is, there are products for any space already that is available. How do I make it more interesting? What is that I can give unique on top of what is already available? That is what is going to define your USP, and that's what is going to define how you differentiate and make you stand out in the market. So that is something that you have to build within the team for people to do, and that will give you great ideas, and that's possible by make it interesting. Otherwise people will be daily come do the same thing. There is already a competition that does that. What is there for me to do? So cover that interestingness in people. Another example is mail. Mail has been there for decades together. What is that something that unique we also entered the mail business? What is that uniqueness that we can bring in? We know the collaborations that are possible at mention and then find out. So that's what we call as streams within email, and we have this as a separate product as well as within the product itself, where you can just talk with people without doing a forward. We often, what we do is, when we want to get some feedback, forward it to another person. There will be a reply colon forward colon reply colon forward colon. There will be a long thread. Some things might be lost over there. So we came up with a feature, an interesting one, which said we can do all the discussions, and finally in within the email itself, do all the collaboration and then send out one common reply. So that's another innovation that we brought in. So these are possible with right set of people. I'll cover those in the people part. But with respect to product, make sure you are trying to create interesting things and allow people to try out things differently and fail. So that should be there with it. The success of a set of tools does not depend on how well they work. It depends on how well they work together. Integrations are needed. The products that you are doing, it's not that it's an ecosystem. Today, even though there are competitions, are you able to do integration with competition? That's important in a product space, because your customers may have a competitive product, but are there possibilities for you to integrate with that when they want to? Nobody would want to completely replace. Do you give them, allow them to coexist? Then they will slowly transform to your new product. So that is something that you have to focus with respect to your product space. When we talk about products, this is another my favorite, one of my favorite books, Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned by Kenneth Stanley. I'm sure some of you might have read this book, or there is a 40-minute video on this topic, Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned by Kenneth Stanley himself. He's a computer scientist who talks about this. So that if you see that, or if you listen to that video or read the book, it will give you a different perspective of, okay, when I'm defining a product, what is that I should be planning? When greatness cannot be planned, what can be planned and how you can do that? He would have broken a lot of myth of how you define something. I define a goal, I need to achieve that goal. Yeah, we need to have goals, but that could be stages where your goals could be your blocking stone. In such cases, you must be able to move around it and move forward. So those are some things which the author would have talked in this book. That's a 40-minute video. We can have a separate discussion if required, or just watch that book. That will give you a different perspective in product development itself. So setting a goal, making a plan, getting it to work, stick to it perfectly, and until you reach the goal is something that doesn't work with startups or product companies. We need to have goals, but maybe there could be changes on the go. You cannot have define a 5-year plan and then do a product release. That is not possible, and that will not take you where you want to go. Instead, progress towards better vantage points. If I take, there are, how many roads do I have in front of me? What are the different things that I want to do? And if I jump this side, how many interesting points do I have in front, rather than if I take the other path, what are the interesting points do I have? So there has to be short-term changes. I said we do fail, but we don't try for 5 years and fail. We have some timeline. Fail fast. That's one of the other important things which you have to keep in mind, and see how you can modify and make sure that you make the relevant changes and then bring it out. I said I've been part of products where we didn't release, but that does not mean that we have completely just scrapped it. We just built it as modules, see what portion of it can be reused and retweak in such a way we address to what the market need is and release the product. So those are some things that has to be taken as a learning. Progress towards better vantage points. Covet interestingness. Every individual is unique, and the product that you are doing every day, when I come in and start my work, you should have that interestingness in you. So when we talk about products, whatever be the product, make sure you ensure that you make it interesting. So that's what I would call products, make it interesting. So we'll move to people. In the people session, people play a major role, be it customers or here people I mean by the employees or your team members who form part of the work that you are doing. With respect to people, what are some things that we do differently, and maybe that's what helped us, and maybe you can also try, or already you're all doing this, could be there. The first thing that we look into is what we have to learn to do. We learn by doing, the practical way of doing. The quote by Aristotle, that's one of our things that we follow. We do fail a lot, but then we make sure that we learn and give importance to people. I'm okay with my team members. That's what my managers have done to me. I'm okay with someone coming and saying, I tried this and I failed, rather than waiting to get my permission and then try something. So we give them that liberty. They'll have some time, free time. It's not that you're always 100% of the time they'll be working only on the product. People should have some free time to explore new things, to come see what's happening in the industry. That's when people will come up with more ideas. So give that liberty and freedom for people who are working in your team. They'll come up with beautiful ideas. And this is another one of things which we follow. I'm sure most of you know, we don't care for their academic credentials. We only see if they have the passion, the burning fire in their belly to do the actual work that they wanted to do. And I'm sure most of you know about the Zoho schools that we have, and I'm not getting into the details, but that's another area that we do, where we train people and we take them inside, and they do excellent job within the organization. Why I'm bringing that here is the actual work is important, and that if they have the passion to do, and that's what we look for in people when we hire them. People who can make a difference. It's not that all of them are the same. We need people who can come up with unique and different ideas. Even if they are not in agreement with you, if they have the talent, look for people who make a difference and hire them. This is something that a lot of time we don't do. And I've made mistakes and I've learned on the way. The next generation are definitely smarter than us, and we should be open enough to learn from them and make sure that we hire smarter people, faster people than you. They'll be able to give you more ideas. That's how you grow along as the company, and you also grow along with them. That's the generation we are in, and we should be open about it without any ego. That's important when you're hiring people. And in an organization, make sure you don't have a flat you don't have a hierarchical organization and then keep it flat. Small teams. If there is Site 24/7 itself as a product that I'm talking about, we have different sub teams, and the different sub teams takes care of it themselves. There is no there will be meetings, there will be plans that happen, but it is not centrally controlled by one person for any change that's going to happen. You have to give that ownership to people. Only if they have that ownership, they'll be able to come up with, people feel they are valued, they'll be able to come up with ideas. So organize people into small teams and give them the individuality and personality is another important thing that is needed in the people in your team. We don't do micromanagement. Like, people are all grown up individuals. Measure only the work and not the working hours. People are smarter. You give them the work and then measure the outcome. Not like you have been, you came in late, you went early, you were not in your seat, you took a lot of break. Those are not the things that are required. And this is not how you have to do. You have to define your variables like this. Don't do micromanagement. Give it to them, give them the ownership. People will make magic. That's what has worked for us. Even, see, we have grown to almost 15,000 employees today, but still all of us are small groups, small teams. We do have goals, but we do have defined teams, and we give that individuality to people. So these are some important things which unique people, which you need to take care in your, when you're hiring people. That's an important area when you want to do product and product management. Third thing is about processes. Processes, if at all you have, and you don't have complicated ones, you have to put it in simple terms. Keep simple processes. So you have to have long-term goals, but the executions have to be short-term. It shouldn't be like you have 5-year plan and you release once in 5 years. Today, with the processes that we have, we are on cloud. I'm sure some of you have cloud products. On the cloud at Site 24/7, the product that I am in, we do almost 4 to 5 releases per day. It's not that we do a release once in 4 months. We do 4 or 5 releases every day from development. I mean, it happens parallelly, but at least we have all the processes in place so that we can go about all the checks and all the testing and then do the build updates. So that's possible because we have that DevOps in place. So have long-term goal, but try to do short-term executions. And when you take a product, you should definitely do SWOT analysis. What are your, with competition, what are your strengths? What is your weakness against what is competitors' strengths and weaknesses? Find where is an opportunity, where's the threat. You need to find. That's when you will be able to come up with your own USP, like the points that I talked about. Mail, everybody has. Collaboration over mail is our USP. Similarly, we have 10 different USPs for mail itself. I just took one example. And we have 50 different products. Each of our products have a unique USP. That will come up only if you are able to spend the time and energy. Even though it's a saturated market, there will be something that is missing. You spend the time and energy on that. Have good set of people, like how I've talked about. They will be, and keep it open. They'll be able to come up with the ideas. Identifying your USP is important process that you have to have. And as a policy, it's important to give feedback, both positive as well as negative. And when you're giving feedback, it has to be then and there. It's not that, people and process might be overlapping. Maybe I just missed to put it there and I'm talking about this here, but these are some things important that helped us. It's not that at the end of the year, when you have a yearly review, you're going to give feedback. It has to be then and there. And one important policy about feedback itself is praise in public, criticize in private. There has to be criticisms. If something is not working, someone is not doing good, you have to tell them that. But that has to be private, one-on-one. That's the respect that you give for the people. Praise can be in public, but criticisms has to be private. These are simple policies. If you have, you can make sure that people do wonder for you. That could be some problem with during that particular time, but if you respect that, they'll be able to come out of it and give their best. And you should have people who disagree with you. It's not that we don't want 10 people under you who always says, yes, boss, whatever you say is right. We need people to disagree. That is when we will know if we are doing things correctly or is there a problem. There will be different problems in people disagreeing with you, but then give them that ownership and ask them to prove by evidence that what they are saying is right. When we don't have somebody asking question at all, we will never know what we are doing. We will assume what we are doing is right and we will keep moving. We need to have a 10th man who can ask question, disagree with us. So these are simple policies. If you are processes and policies, if you are going to have, that's going to help you. So with product, it has to be interesting products, unique people, simple processes. If you have these properly defined in an organization, your customer is the center who can be taken care. Because at the end of the day, every organization, every business, they are dependent on customers. We need customers. So if you have these in place, taking care of your customers is easy. And when we talk about customers, it's important for you to give an open ear to whatever customer feedback comes in. It could, I mean, our CEO Sriravembu often says, develop thick skin. Even if you, if you want to improve your product, the first thing I would say is you have to sit in a customer call and listen to it. And you want to become a product manager, or you want to own, you are the owner of the product, you are a developer, whatever role you play, go sit in a customer call. You will know the pain points of the customer and you have to listen to them, because the product, any product that we do, we only take sample data and try to do the product. When they are using it in real time, the bread and butter for them, they will, even if it could be a small thing, it could be the positioning of a button, or the color, or the text that you are having, or the 2-3 links that you click and go figure out the configurations that you do, can be anything. Simple things, we will be able to see the pain point only when we sit in a customer call or sit and talk with them, go meet them and talk with them. So that's the only way for you to improve the product. So as all these 23 years, my first thing that I do is first look into my personal needs. The second thing is look at customer support. That's how we can improve our product. That's what I tell my team also to do. And with customers, a lot of time we have to give to customer, get their feedback, and that's a way for us to improve our product. And we often make a mistake in iterating with customers. We do everything and then go iterate with customer. So while iterating with customer, it's not like this, like these are the set of things that we are planning to do in the product. Just give them all prototypes or a non-workable model. Instead, keep this picture in mind. You have to iterate with customer like this. In every step, it's a workable model. Only then customer will be able to give you feedback. You only talk in the air, defining and in writing about the product functionality. Maybe that's not what the customer wanted. So whatever iteration you want to do with the customer, make sure at each stage of your working prototype that you're having, or the working model that you're having, give it to the customer, get their feedback. Have an early access, or if it is a product that's for new products, maybe if it is a product that already exists, I'm going to come up with new features. At least in the cloud space, we don't go and release the feature as such to every customer. We try to give them early access, beta access for the particular feature itself. And even when we are rolling out the feature fully into the product, we make sure that we find out some important customers, roll out the feature only for specific customers, get their feedback, because we are going to deal with the live environment, production environment. We cannot mess up things in a customer environment. So make sure you are doing it in batches, because you have thousands of customers. Don't try to do the migration, or don't try to give the feature to everybody at one stage. Take it in phases. So those are some things which you have to keep in mind for a released product. If it's a new product, it is different, but make sure you are having a workable version and iterating with your customer. That will help you improve your product. So with this background, what are some things that define your roadmap? So if I have to talk about product roadmaps, there are two important criteria, or there are two important things that a product manager looks into when defining product roadmap. Or product roadmaps are defined by technology push. There are going to be newer technologies that are going to come. Maybe the client frameworks that are in the last 2 decades, our entire client framework has been rewritten 3 times for the same product. We have done that because the technologies keep changing for better performance, for better look and feel. We keep rewriting them. The client framework it's a Java product. We used to have a Java struts framework as the initial version. And then when single page applications picked up, we need to rewrite that and come up with new client versions. And then we wanted a responsive client, and we need to write the client in a JavaScript framework, the Angular or React.js framework client itself. We need to rewrite the whole thing. So this is one thing that I'm talking about, the front end. If I have to talk about the backend technology itself, we had initially the databases. It's a singleton database. Then we moved into having multiple instances, the failover concept. And then The SQL databases did not scale. We have to move to NoSQL databases for scalability reasons. Even there were different versions which we have to try. And for file storage, there were different technologies that were coming up. So the technology changes keep pushing, the technology push defines product roadmaps. That's one side of the product roadmap definition. And the other side is the market pull. The market demands keep changing. The industry is moving towards this direction, and we have to move. Like maybe 16 years ago, on-prem moved into cloud. That was a change in both actually technology-wise and the market definition. People moved there, and the pandemic forced people who are not in cloud to move towards the cloud. So there will be market pull that causes that defines product roadmap. So mostly the product roadmap will be defined by the technology push and the market pull on one side, and on the other side is what the customer is asking. Customers, when you have products and you have hundreds or thousands of customers, each of the customer will be using it for their own needs. Their needs could be different. Their industry could be different. Their end customers could be different why they are using. So there will be different questions that comes from them. And you need to have some performance indicators to see what are the metrics that they are asking. The customers ask. You will have everything defined. The customer ask could come from support, or it could come directly as an email. It could come in many forms. Or somebody may say, if you don't have this feature, I will not use your product at all. So during the sales process itself, a lot of customer requirements comes in. How do you balance this? So I'll be talking about some 6 tips for balancing your product roadmap, because when a customer requirement comes in, your product roadmap entirely changes. You have the same set of people. You can't suddenly go hire more people because there are customer requirements that have come in. Maybe we can do, but that's not possible in all the cases. Once you have done that, what do you do? So with the existing set of people, or with what you foresee, how can you balance the roadmap? We have had a lot of challenges, and I'll be sharing some pointers based on how we have done this. So these are some primary factors that we look into, or particularly some of us in our company looks into. So the first thing is about one versus many customers. So when there is a customer ask, is it particularly one customer is asking for one specific feature, or this feature, because I'm talking about product companies, it's not a project that we are doing, or is it a feature that is being asked by many people? So this is going to define your roadmap. This is going to play a major role in defining if you want to include this customer asked feature into your roadmap. There are hundreds of people. It could be a small feature, but there are hundreds of people who will be benefited, because hundreds of customers will be benefited because of this small change. That takes priority rather than one customer asking for a big feature. So that is something that you have to value and see. And you can do this valuation if, is it in number of ways. This can be done in support. Support itself, people are asking for features. You can put it in a project, or you can track it in an Excel sheet, or you can do it in many ways. That's one way of doing. And the other way of doing is through community forums. Have community forums and ask people, because this is something that we learned through years. People ask in support, and a lot of time it gets missed. Even though product managers go look into what customers are asking, we may miss to track it. So instead, what we generally do is we ask people to post all this in our community forum. We have community for all of our products, separate community forums, and we have a section for feature request. So when people ask for a feature request, ask customers to go post in community forums, and other customers can go and upvote it and say, I want this, I want this, I want this. So the one that has the great number of upvotes, the more number of upvotes defines there are so many people who are waiting for that particular feature. So that takes precedence into the roadmap. So possibly every quarter or every 6 months once, or when we do a yearly plan, we take into consideration all these things. The technology, based on the technology changes, we want to do a major change in our product. We have done that twice or thrice, but sometimes that takes a lesser precedence when there are such features like this. So this has to be considered when you are defining your roadmap. Even after you define your roadmap is not, you can have a 5-year roadmap, But ideal thing could be define it for a year, review it every quarter. So that will help you to come up with what you want to do in this next quarter, so that your team is also aligned, and make sure you have some released, what is that, measurable, releasable timelines. That's something important. You just, when you have your team working on a feature, and suddenly somebody else is asking, and you go say them that no, we have to do this, leave that halfway, people will not be satisfied. People will have that what is that, satisfaction when they see that feature getting released. So that is important, and community forums helps you to come up with what is most asked by many customers, not just one customer, many customers. And other thing, how you can do this balancing is give extensibility option. By extensibility, what I mean is mostly the API support. The existing product that you have may not, maybe people are not able to, everybody may not use the same product that you have built. Some features, if you have relevant API support, you can give customers, you can ask customers to extend that and build on their own also. Still workable model that has worked for us, because a small change that is required, you may not include that change into your product. You have API for that, people can and customers can take that, extend it, write their own part in the client side what they wanted to, or they may want to integrate it with their with the ticketing tool of their own. I'm just giving example from this product, from the product that I'm currently working, the monitoring product. It can be any product. People may want to integrate with their existing product, and you have APIs for that integration. Then that's what that will solve their purpose. So make sure, one, if you don't have that, you may have to end up building all that yourself. So in your product, if you have extensibility and integrability from all sides, northbound, southbound, eastbound, westbound, whatever ways you want, give extensibilities wherever possible. Give them the option. I mean, we are living in this era of citizen coders. People want to change something. I don't want to use the same UI that you have given. I will build my own UI. Give me custom options to drag and drop and build my own UI. People love that, such products. So don't make your product very rigid one. Make it or build it in such a way that it's easily plug and play and functional one. At all these places, functionality plays a major role. I can do all plug and play, but it will not work. That's not going to solve the problem. So make sure you are having all the integrations and extensions possible. That's another way where you can give this freedom and liberty in customer hands, so that your headache is not there. So that's another way where you can balance the features. And other point to take into account is the customizations. This is again, a lot of people get stuck. We also got stuck a lot of time. People are asking for a change in the color, change in the button position, or change in the text of the field. I don't want to call my customers. I'll call it them users. Depending on because it's a product, depending on the domain that they are using it, an educational domain would want to have a different naming. A banking sector would want to have a different naming. Hardcore IT sector would want to have a different naming. You can't, the same product being used by multiple people, you can't sit and do the professional service, or you can't be sitting and doing all the changes yourself. Give the customization to customers. Give that, make your customers more powerful. Give the power to the customer. Let them do all the customizations. What some of them may want to even completely rebrand it. I don't want to have your branding at all. Okay, go ahead and do. So have all those options available. That will help you to reduce the feature request that comes to you. And other thing that you have to take into consideration is the time management. This is something very crucial that we have had a hard time learning it. And yeah, I should say we are still not mastered it, is what I would say. All projects, how many other years of experience we have had, we try to define some deadlines. Invariably, there will be some delay. At least that's what we have seen. That's what I have seen. There are going to be, we will have all cushion during our planning, and then come up with the timeline for our product release, particularly products. We will never know when, why, which component is going to take more time and development, and which is going to cause a delay. And a lot of time, the last mile execution of getting into production is going to take more time than the development itself. I have been part of such developments. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you have defined a timeline and you have committed to customers, and you see that that's going to be a delay, it's important for you to keep your customers informed. I've had bad experiences and forgetting to do that and have hit us badly hit us. So what I mean here by lead more than lag is, if you know that you have committed the what is that 2022 Q2, I mean year end December, and you know in November itself that the project is the product is the feature release is going to be 2 months delayed or 1 month delayed. So tell them 1 month in advance that that's going to be a 1 month delay. So that's what I mean by lead more than the lag. If the lag is going to be 15 minutes, just an example, there are no product releases or features that's going to be 15 minutes delayed. Okay, 1 day. If there is going to be a 1 day delay, tell them 1 day in advance that 1 day delay is going to be there. Get my point? Why I'm saying this is, the customers at the other end are also human beings. They will understand if you are going to tell them the reasoning behind why it's going to be delayed, rather than going and telling them in the last minute that there's going to be a delay. Or sometimes you don't even tell them there is a delay, and then they come back and ask, now today it is January 4th, you told you'll be giving a feature in December 2022, what happened to that? That's going to have a bad relationship. Customer relationship is important. So if there are going to be delays, keep them informed ahead. Lead time should be more than the lag time, and give them proper reasoning. That will help you in retaining your customers, because in any product, in any business, I said customers are important, and retaining the existing customers plays a major role, and this helps a lot in when you keep customers informed. And the other point about tips for how do you balance is, a lot of places, at least in a product company, it is not easy to satisfy every customer needs, and it is not necessary to satisfy every customer needs. It is okay if you're not satisfying some of your customers. We make this mistake in the virtue of, I mean, we want to satisfy every customer requirements, we go give all commitments without thinking how much time it's going to take. It's going to have a bad hit on us. We know that this is definitely not doable. This is going to be, and we often say this is there in our roadmap. That's a standard statement we give, that you think, put yourself there. You will not accept when somebody says that. When you know for sure that this feature is not going to be released in certain amount of time, in the next 1 or 2 years, you don't have the visibility of taking that, because that's either it's complex, or it's not in your, you cannot plan it, you don't have the manpower to do that, or maybe it's a niche one which you don't want to take it up. It's also perfectly fine. That will not fit into your product. It's okay. Just tell them we are not able. That just make the relationship easier. You just keep them informed that you're not going to take it up, and it's okay to leave them, so that you satisfy the rest of the customers. So these are few things which we learned by biting our own. At least I learned by I failed in all this. That's how I learned all this, is what I would say. And one final tip is, you have to be wearing your customer shoes. And the other way of saying that is, eat your own dog food. Whatever product you are building, you be your first customer. That's one of the main reasons for the success of Zoho products. The 15,000 people organization Zoho, it's an enterprise. We use all our products within ourselves. We are our own customers first. We do at least release it internally and test it, use it in production for 2 years before we take it out to the market. Because we know that only when you use it, you know the pain points of a customer. Put yourself in customer shoes. Site 24/7 as a product itself, we just built it for website monitoring of our own infrastructure. After 2-3 years of successfully doing it internally, we thought, okay, customers will be able to use it, and that's how we released. All our products have that story. So whatever product you have, it's not that you be your first customer. Use it day in, day out. Then your products will mature, and we are actually afraid of releasing it internally. Immediately people will come and stand behind saying that this is not working. Our customers are actually polite enough to wait for us to give the version to them. But only if you have people who are giving complaints because you are using it day to day and it's affecting your everyday business. That's how your products will improve. So if you have to balance between your product and what customer is asking, You should have the right set of people and the right set of processes. And these are some simple steps that you have to follow. Of one customer ask, many customer ask, have a community forum and decide. Give the power to customer by giving extensibilities, integrations, and customization options. Do proper time managements and commitments with customers, and it's okay to leave some of the customers back and not take all the features. You will be able to see success in whatever you are doing. Thank you for your time. And I hope I was able to give some perspective based on my learnings through these years. And I'm happy to take questions.
Yeah. Rajalakshmi, like actually, there is this person called Pranati. She was not able to attend the session, but she reached out to me and she posted 3 questions for you.
Okay.
She wants to. I think you have answered part of it in your talk, but I would again post it if you have missed something. You could add.
Okay, sure, definitely.
Yeah, the first question is below. Sometimes the product roadmap and customer ask might not align. In that case, what should be done? Should research be done again, or should be prioritized?
Okay, so this again based on the points that I've told is what I'll tell you. So depending on the customer ask, if there are many people who are asking, then definitely you will have to reprioritize and take it up. And it's not easy to do everything that the customer is asking, even if many people are asking. Sometimes we may have to rewrite the entire code or do research to find out if we are doing things correctly. So in that case, maybe we may have to define the timelines properly with customers. So that will help them or keep them informed as to how or when they can expect the product. Once you keep them informed, a lot of time people will be fine with waiting. It's just that you keep them in the know-how of, it's not that some robot is sending an answer. Keep it personalized. Tell people that there are people who are on the other end. This is applicable not for features, even for incidents that happen, the downtimes that we have. The first thing is keep people informed that there is a man or woman on the other end who's looking into the issue. People will wait.
Okay. The second question, at times there is a representative of a customer. The customer representative might be biased. How do we align it to the product roadmap?
Every customer would want their request as they would want their request as to be the priority one, and this is the deal breaker. That's the first thing that will come. If you have this feature, I will buy the product. This is the deal breaker. So there will be a lot of such requests that comes in. So it is important as a product, and salespeople sometimes may not know the how much of effort is involved on the other end. They will be in the verge of closing the sale, and they would somehow want to get the customer in. A lot of time they will give some timeline to the customer and try to close, or they will urge, or they will push the development team. So in these situations, what is important is the product manager's role. So the person has to take that responsibility, evaluate if it is really required or if we can do it, and be part of the call. Don't leave it with only just the sales or with other developers. You be part of the call. You explain why this is possible, why this is not possible, and give proper explanation. They'll be able to. A lot of time people will come to say they would want to push it. Okay, even though the customer, as you said, the customer might be okay with it, but there will be some middlemen who will say, no, I want this to be completed, but then only I'll be able to talk with it. So make sure you talk with the relevant people who are in the deciding authority of buying the product, and then make sure that you explain to them why this is possible, this is not possible. People will understand. A lot of places, I go for a call to say no. You should be able to say no, polite no. That's important. It's not that, some cases, they definitely need it and we don't have. It's okay. We don't have. I'm not giving you any false hope, because giving a false hope is going to only backfire at a later point in time.
Okay. And the last question from her, what impact would a product roadmap create? How do we do it for a new product?
A new product is actually, what I would say is, this is more like a startup who want to come up with a product. So when you want to do a new product, those are some things that I talked in the product section itself. So when we know we want to come up with a product, You may have don't have, you might want to have a long-term vision, but then find out the small sweet spot that you want to address. Okay, it's not that it's a big problem that you want to solve. Like how I say is, first see if there is a market potential. A lot of time people end up saying that there aren't many players in this space, let me go do a product there. When there are no, see if there is a market potential. Where there is a market potential, there will definitely be a lot of players, and where there are only there, you can go get some market share from other people. If you go try see that there is, I mean, the space is there are no people in the space, there are no providers in the space, let me go do a product there. You need people to buy that product. So today, if you see, at least in Chennai, people who are in Chennai, T Nagar has so many stores, but still another store comes in there will get their own share. So you have to see the market potential. And keep in mind, where there is market potential, there will be multiple players. And you can be at another player. There will be something that you have to do that study to find out what is that one sweet spot you can add to get the market share. And it does take time. It doesn't happen overnight. Certain of our products have taken a long time. So that is something that we have to keep in mind. And that's how you define your product roadmap. When you are a startup, don't think of 5 years down the line, I want to release this. Next 1 year, what is your roadmap? Next 6 months, what is your roadmap? Do you have initial set of customers, or are you using it internally? And some startups may want to go pitch it to investors, get funding. So you do all that yourself. See if you are able to be convinced with what is the pitch that you're doing. A lot of time when we ask the question ourselves, we will know what we are missing before even somebody else asks. So do that analogy yourself, you will be able to come up with your roadmap.
Okay. I don't see any questions on the chat. People, like, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourselves and then you can post the questions.
Hey, hi Rajalakshmi, Jayamadan here.
Yes.
So when we are working with large product teams like Zoho, right, the company would normally have more than like 10 to 20 different products, and each term will have its own product managers. But how do we make sure when we are building our product, it's compatible with all our products within our ecosystems, right? Because it's not humanly possible we can interact with all the 20 teams, but at the same time, we don't want to break the systems or don't want to create a system that's very alienated from what the ecosystems. So that's one of my question. And another question is, how do you make
let's go one at a time. I will forget the first question then. Okay. I'll finish this, then you ask your second question. Okay. That's a great question, Jay Martin. So even within Zoho, we have a lot of products, and it's not possible for one person to know entirely what's happening if you are a flat organization and not hierarchical decision making happens. So in those situations, the open forums helps a lot. Lot of things are frameworks, we use a lot of common framework. Your frameworks are all common small bundles. The product ideas, the products that are being done, we have open connect forums or open discussion forums where technology discussions happen. See, as I said, it's not that you sit in a room, I want to come up with an idea, things don't happen. Zoho was not built like that. Or the top management sitting in a room, we decided we want to come up with 50 different products. No, we don't know we will come up with these many different products itself. So keep it open. There are open forums where technology, it's not just the forums are just for only entertainments. Technology discussions happen there. So people come, we do have our own internal what do you call the events like trade fairs, where you present your work that you're doing. Other people walk around, go find out what the other teams are doing. There, in spite of all this, there could be some overlaps and there could be some parallel things happening, but eventually things will converge. I mean, it will take time. Okay, so if you have to ask me, 20 different products are there. It's not 20, we have 100 plus products. Okay, there can be places, and that's the culture at Zoho. There can be places where there are overlaps to different teams having two different components, but over a period of time, at least there will be meetings at different levels, managers level, senior management level. So there will be discussions as to what is happening, how it is doing. So depending on how things are doing, it's not just with respect to just revenue. The performance is important. One module built in one thing could be performing good. then that will be adopted in all other modules. So in that sense, what's important is don't attach ego with what you have built. So I have built this, I have to go and release it. That's going to be the end of your product. If you see something else that's working good, it's okay to let this go and take that, and anything is for the betterment of the product and for the company. So that's a culture that has to be, that's the cultural change. It's not easy. So individuals have to align with that culture, and that's how the company is built. It's not easy for one person to know everything. It's not humanly possible, but there are open forums where technology is discussed, products are discussed, what is being developed is discussed, and then, oh, this is there in this product, this is done, this, the same feature or same function or same problem can be addressed in a different way in another product. Discussions happen there, and then come to a consensus. I think I
Yeah,
will go to
thanks,
the
Raja.
second question.
I think you partly answered my second question. My second question was, how do you make sure that developers doesn't build the same product more than one time, right? Because when we have multiple teams, there is a high probability that we are building a same product or a part of one same product more than two
Okay,
teams.
I get your question. Same product cannot be built because at different levels there will be discussions. Maybe a feature or could be there, but that does iron out during the during the technical discussions, or at the very levels of the management discussions, the leadership discussions that we have. At a high level, we know what is being done. Maybe the technology that you're using or they are using could be different is one thing. Other thing is, lot of these things are componentized. So use the same component across all the products. So there are frameworks and there are components, there are which can be reused across all the teams. So whatever you build, as I was talking about the extensions and customizations, whatever you build, also you give that feature. There are internal teams who take this and do. See, all of our products are consumed internally for the internally for our own needs as well. So that is how it gets ironed out. And developers, designers, they don't end up building the same product as such. Some feature overlap may be there, but over a period of time, it will get ironed out.
Yeah, that makes sense, Rajalakshmi. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Rajalakshmi, Rajesh here. So I have a question. So
yes,
like there will be a lot of assumptions that we take behind a product roadmap, right? Or is it always by intuition? What is your thoughts on it?
okay. Product roadmaps will not be on intuitions. The intuitions mostly will be with only the people front. Okay, that's how generally I see it. Okay, that's the perception, because how one person works. When people are involved, there will be a lot of intuitions and gut feels. When product is, as far as product is concerned, we will know clearly what is. See, any product, there will be a problem that the product is addressing. Your product will be a solution for some problem statement. Have your problem statement clearly defined, so you know all your features, all your roadmaps, or whatever you want to. So that problem statement will also know. You should know your problem statement. You should know who are your customers. You should know what is the market segment they are in. Some products may cater to all the market segments. Some product would be for a specific market segment. So when you have these things clearly defined, then there will not be any the intuition in that space. You know clearly what you want to do to address that problem statement. And with respect to the newer technologies that are coming up, AI can be applied in every field. What automation you can give in for that particular product so that your customer's life is made happy or made easy in that particular domain. So those technologies will define the roadmap, and the intuition may not come in place if you're having your problem statement defined clearly in line with your customers and your market.
Which means most of these are data-driven decisions.
Data-driven meaning there are two ways of defining. Okay, data-driven is once you have your product, a web console, web product, online product, you have a web client. There are a lot of tools that can tell you how many people have visited. There are 10 different tabs in your product. There are a lot of tools that tell you how many customers have visited this tab, how many customers have clicked on these links. All these are measurable. Today, there are tools that can measure all this. That will define where is your focus area. That will define your focus area for defining the roadmap. Okay, roadmap meaning what you want to change or what you want to address. But that's not intuition. Okay, it is based on, those things are based on data. But the customer asking features are not, that's again, if you can categorize that as data, that is also data. Like 10 people are asking, so I'm going to include that. But there could be something, in spite of all this, there is a market potential, or there is a need for me to include this into the product. I see in the future this will be helpful. So that forethought will be there. If you're talking that forethought as an intuition, then it's not intuition, it's the thought leader. You are the thought leader in that domain, and you are foreseeing the technology that's going to come in and doing R&D in your product. And it's not intuition, it's your thought leader in that domain, if you are referring that as intuition. Why I'm bringing that is, at Zoho, we do, I mean, our CEO is a visionary. He does foresee a lot of things. He does tell a lot. I mean, we do a lot of R&D works here that has helped us over this period, over these years. And that's not through intuition. That's because of the leadership visionary that we have had.
Thanks.
Hi, Rajalakshmi. Shishira here.
Hi.
So you were saying, like, once we build our product, like if the product doesn't work, we need to take a different direction. So on what basis do we decide? Like, should we wait for a month, or should we, like, some products, it won't evolve immediately. It might take some 6 months. So on what basis do we decide this, or to take a different direction?
Okay. So I can only tell what we do here. It might vary from a company or organization, or the liberty that is being given in each of the organizations. So generally at Zoho, what we do is, we have heard from Sridhar saying that don't be in a hurry. Okay, we had that liberty. Okay, we generally give at least 1 year to 1.5 year time, but most of the time that might not be required, because we would have anyway used it internally and ironed out all the issues and made it a robust product before we release it. And we do take an internal 2-year time to release the product to the market. So that helps us. Even after that, you have to give it time. 1 month is not a time for you to decide. You should at least have a year if you have the cushion. So that varies. So I can't guarantee say that you have to wait for a year. So that will vary, but you have to have that time. And even within that time, it's not that you sit idle and I've released a product, I'll wait for a year. That's not the case. Every month or every bi-weekly, there has to be you have to be constantly on that. So if you are able to give your, if it's not working, then it's that we have not put 100% research on that. So go find out find out how many people have downloaded, or what is the market, why it is not getting picked up. Are we ranking better in a search engine? Because that's the way people identify us. What are the marketing things that we do? Are we doing that correctly? You have to be on the go, full-fledged, so that you know for sure that you are working. If you put your full effort into it, you will definitely be able to find out the missing pieces and work on it.
Okay, Raj. Thank you.
So I have a question, but I just wait for others. Okay.
Dinesh.
Coming to the roadmap, we consider from customers, and we tackle it from visionary CEOs. Who presents the ideas. So it is going to be a living document. How frequently the roadmap will get changed in your experience?
Okay. As I was saying, we don't have 5-year plan and all. Okay, you can have a 5-year down the line where you want to take your product, but a lot of things will keep changing. 1 year is a good amount of time for you to plan, and you have to revisit it every quarter, at least to see where you're standing. Are we making any progress? Or if you have committed 2 quarters down the line, we'll give to customer, we are not able to start at all, you should at least inform them beforehand. So it's not that you can't do it monthly revisit. That's also not possible. So ideally, what we do is have a year plan, revisit it quarterly to see at least things are going. And the product roadmap and year plan is good. We are not going to have all the small line items. There will be bug fixes, enhancements, all those will keep happening. the major release items, and are we in line with that? So that is something that we do.
And how do you keep informed? Customers is one side, telling them, keeping informed within your team and peer leaders. As Jayamadan told, there will be a lot of teams.
Yes.
So,
within team, what we do is, I mean, this communication portal that I was talking about, it's available across various levels. At the company wide, people talk about the technology discussions, their products, what's happening. Within, there are a lot of tools, and I mean, it might look like we are not discussing a lot of things, but there are projects where we track the stages of what people are doing. There are connect portals where we discuss about when a feature is getting released, and these forms the part of the DevOps life cycle, when we take things from our start to the release, how things are happening. We have tools in place in all these places. Being a cloud provider, security at all these layers, security reviews, all those happens. A person will do a lot of multiple roles also in defining these things, and there will be weekly, bi-weekly or monthly meetings, depending on what type of meetings it is, to discuss within the team, mainly to know what the other person is doing and how things happen. So those meetings, it's not that every day standing roll call of how things happen. We don't do that. You cannot measure everyday work at all, at least in a product environment. Weekly, bi-weekly or monthly, how things are going, where is it, where are we progressing. Within sub teams, there will be meetings, and the leads, there will be product management, there will be tech leads. Within the next set of meetings will happen among product managers to see where they are. So it's not a hierarchy as such, but at least discussion happen in different layers, so that we are in sync as to what's happening.
Okay.
That has to be there. Otherwise, those are all the, I mean, it's not a formal measurement kind of where we record 5 hours of work, what you do. That's a project type. In product, this is how we track and measure and move on.
Yeah. And sometimes we feel that as a product manager, I would feel that what is the work I have did?
No, product manager wears multiple hats. Okay, that I know. I can understand the feeling that you have felt, because I have also felt the same. What am I doing? And a lot of time my kids will ask me, Amma, what you're doing when we work from home? I only see you talking with people and reviewing things. Okay, that's what I do. So that will be there. But then, you know, the product, you play a major role wherever required. Okay, that outsider view is important. When you also get into and start doing coding and development, then the outsider view will be missed. So you have to be in that, look into competition space. What is the change that is coming there? Are we doing that? Are we ahead of it? So a lot of things that you do, and it's not easily measurable.
So I have one more question, Rajeshmi.
Yes.
So how do the product strategies typically get set actually? So we will have a company level product strategy, and for a product level, we have an individual product strategy, right? So how it is normally set at Zoho from the industry perspective? Could you share some aspects on that?
No, as I said, when we have our products, it's not that the product manager mostly decides what is the market that we are addressing and how we define the product roadmap. And it's not that there are products, as I said, the products will not be duplicated and be handled by different people. So, and importantly, maybe the way one product manager handles is different from the way the other product manager handles, and we have that freedom to do it that way. I'm not sure if every company can do that, but once you know your product and you know your customers and you know your target audience, you will be able to define it and take it forward.
But that strategy should comes from a higher up level, right? Because an individual product manager cannot decide.
It will that will again vary with respect to, I mean, what you define as strategy is what is important, and that will vary with respect to, we have these high level simple goals that I talked about, and taking that into consideration, if you are able to define your roadmaps, then that should be fine.
Yeah, makes sense.
There are simple no's which you cannot do. And other than that, it should be fine.
Yeah.
My name is Chandramouli, and sorry, I can't open up my video. Sorry, I
No
was
problem. No problem.
all
No
right.
problem.
So my question is about so in general, like, does Zoho has any guidelines on when you can deliver a feature or a or a bunch of features when customer asks for it? When you
We
identify,
do have a, see, as I said, we do, every product has their own guidelines. We do have, I mean, as I said, it is not that we don't follow any guidelines and all. Okay, we have our own set of rules, we have our own set of guidelines, which will be taken into consideration when you want to deliver it to your customer. When customer has asked and the product is able to do it, then it is their responsibility to deliver it. That is being taken care. It's not a defined one which can be published or disclosed outside.
Mhm.
But as a product manager for my product, when a customer asks, when I'm able to fit in and I'm able to release it, we have the liberty to do it in whatever committed way that we are doing. It's not that there is a central rule that we have to adhere to.
Okay, and in that case, like, what are the parameters that you consider to deliver that one? Say there are
Parameters meaning, okay, when a customer is asking for a feature, and that's what I have already defined. If I can take it, it depends on the feature, and it depends on the product. And if it is going to be a general feature that's going to be beneficial for many people, and depending on my bandwidth, I will commit and I'll include this as part of my product roadmap.
Okay, and then I assume that you also follow the same strategy when you try to deliver something from the roadmap, like in terms of
Yeah. Yes. So I'm not sure about the exact strategy that you're talking about, but then we look at it as it's a feature or that we want to deliver it to our customers, and in what timeline I'll be able to give, and I'll be able to plan that and give it to customers.
Okay. Yeah, I'm part of a startup company actually. Then we always have this, challenges like, which feature should we deliver first, and then know what customer should we address first. So we always have this, problem of addressing actually.
Yeah, that's why I said, when you have your product released, and when somebody is asking for a feature, some 4 or 5 points that I talked about, see if that feature is asked by many people, then you have to consider that into your roadmap. And if you feel that the feature that they are asking, they can do it themselves by just extending the API or doing some customizations, you give that power to customer, ask them to do it themselves. So those are some, the 6 tips that I talked about is invariably you can fit in any feature that customer asks, and apply the rule and find out if you want to take it and do it depending on your bandwidth.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So the time is 8:25. Siddharth, can you hold?
Yeah. So let's leave it to. So yeah, Sarana Kumar has a question, I guess. Like
Hi,
Sarana,
Rajesh.
like you can.
Yeah, I mean, last question before we wind up. So my question is like, Zoho has, in terms of product strategy, right? You said quarterly, it's better to kind
No,
of
that's
review.
not, I would say that's not Zoho strategy that I'm saying.
Or
That's something
generally,
that I follow. That's
okay.
something that I follow is what I said.
Okay, so as considering a scaled kind of, like, say, different product teams working on different customer needs, right? Is there any frequent kind of product strategy workshop do you suggest, or like what kind of methodology, or like to kind of bring everybody together? Because duplication is one. Of course, there'll be a sync on different feature what the customer is going to ask, but what kind of strategy, or like if you
Okay,
have a
so
scaled one, is a question.
no, we don't. I don't think we do have some specific strategies like that. Number one. Number two, each of our products, the customer base is different, or the customer segment is different. The market is different. The domains that we address is different. So depending on it, the products define, and overall general guidelines and overall generally what technologies are being used is discussed in open forums. So there is no per se a specific strategy that is being followed.
Okay.